In the rambunctious heart of London, a man named Frederick decided to drown the weariness of his mundane life in the hedonistic offerings of the night. Frederick was a man of habits, a man of simplicity. But tonight was different. Tonight, he wanted chaos, a release, a break from the monotony. As the night unfurled, Frederick hopped from pub to pub, drink after drink, laughter after laughter. The world around him gradually turned into a blurry carousel of faces, lights, and noises. Each shot, each beer, and each cocktail was a step further into oblivion. Morning came uninvited, the sun's piercing light infiltrating through a tiny crack in the window blinds of an unknown room. A throbbing headache coursed through Frederick's brain, amplified by the brightness of the room. His mind was a jigsaw puzzle, fragments of the night before scattered across his consciousness, blurred and disconnected. As he sat up, a feeling of dread welled up in his stomach, a heaviness he couldn't shake. It was then he noticed the sticky residue on his shirt. A quick glance revealed a dark, dried stain splattered across the fabric. Blood. Not his own. Panic surged through him, followed by a wave of nausea. He was drenched in an unknown person's blood. Frederick's mind raced, attempting to piece together the disjointed remnants of his memories. Images flickered in his mind's eye. An alleyway, a silhouette, an argument. A chilling scream echoed in his mind, distant yet distinct. His heart pounded in his chest like a frantic drum. The reality came crashing in with a sharp knock at the door. 2 officers stood at the threshold, stern-faced and unyielding. They presented him with photographs. A woman, lifeless and pale, lay in a pool of her own blood in an alleyway. He didn't recognize her, but the shirt he was wearing screamed otherwise. As Frederick sat in the cold, sterile interrogation room, the echoes of last night's mayhem rang in his ears. The accusing glares of the officers across the table made him feel as if he was already convicted. "Do you know her?" one officer asked, sliding another picture of the victim across the table. He was arrested for murder, a crime he couldn't remember committing. Yet the evidence was overwhelmingly against him. Locked in a cell, Frederick grappled with his fear and guilt. Each moment was a never-ending nightmare. His reality had turned into a horror movie, and he was the villain. His trial was swift and brutal. The blood on his shirt, the circumstantial evidence, the blackout, all pointed to his guilt. His pleas of innocence fell on deaf ears. Even as he was sentenced, he struggled to comprehend the monstrous act he was accused of. He was swallowed whole by a system he had once trusted, chewed up and spat out as a villain. As the iron bars of his cell closed behind him, Frederick was alone in the chilling silence. The echo of the closing cell door seemed to announce the death of his former life. He was now a murderer, condemned by evidence but haunted by a lack of memory. Haunted by the horror of that fateful night, Frederick woke up in cold sweats, with phantom screams lingering in his ears. His guilt was a shadow, a constant reminder of the act he was accused of, a beast he could not remember unleashing. The blood on his shirt, now a permanent stain on his life, was a grim testament to a night that went horribly wrong. His life had become a true horror story, and all he was left with were fragments of a terrifying past, a chilling present, and a dread-filled future. The specter of that lifeless woman haunted his dreams, her face an unknown accusation that tormented his waking hours. Days became weeks, and weeks turned into months. The 4 walls of his cell were a constant reminder of the unspeakable act he was held accountable for. His cellmate, a burly man named Wallace, was convicted for a string of violent robberies. However, in this twisted reality, even Wallace seemed scared of him, recoiling from his presence, treating him like the monster the court said he was. News of his case had spread throughout the prison, earning him a notorious reputation. Whispered rumors echoed in the cold stone hallways, the phantom murderer who had no recollection of his vicious act. A man who carried death in his blackout, drunk stupor. One night, as Frederick was curled up on his bunk, he heard a faint sobbing. It was Wallace. His tough exterior had cracked, revealing the scared man underneath. "I might have been a thief," he confessed, "but I never killed no one. Their crimes were different, but their nightmares were the same. Victims of deeds, remembered or forgotten, they were both prisoners of their past actions. Frederick's days were painted with dread and guilt. Every clang of the prison bars, every harsh shout from a guard, every fearful glance from another inmate felt like a nail in the coffin of his former life. The unknown woman's face, her blood on his shirt, the horror of that night etched deep into his soul. Haunted by the darkness of his deeds, Frederick lived in a continuous nightmare. His mind was a prison within the prison, trapping him in the horror of that night. The chilling fear of his forgotten actions, the pain of an innocent life lost, all were chains holding him down, a weight he carried with each waking moment. Days turned into months, months into years. Frederick, the ordinary man who sought solace in a night of intoxication, was now a symbol of horror, a specter haunting the cold prison cells. His life was a testament to the chilling reality of actions taken under the influence of alcohol. A terrifying story etched in the annals of crime, a story serving as a gruesome reminder of the horrors one night can unleash. A story of a man trapped in a nightmarish reality of a murder he doesn't remember committing. A man haunted by the blood of an innocent life. A man trapped in the horror of his own actions, eternally searching for redemption in the cold, unfeeling stone walls of his prison cell.